Hi, I'm your host, Brittany Caldwell, and I thank you for joining us on Becoming, a show where we encourage, motivate, and inspire women to become all that God has created us to be. And one of the ways that we do this is through sharing our stories of faith, perseverance, setbacks, and victories. And today's guest who will be sharing her story is Patrice Murphy, also known as Coach Patrice. So, Patrice is a health enthusiast who has always had a passion for fitness and nutrition. Her certifications include CrossFit trainer, personal trainer, boot camp, group fitness instructor, and mixed fit instructor, and a diploma in sports nutrition. So, she's pretty much your go to girl for all things health and nutrition. And I know that you are going to get so much knowledge from our conversation today. I know that it's going to be a lot of fun. So, if you're seeking guidance in fitness and nutrition, this is for you. So without further ado, let me bring in Patrice. Hi, Patrice. How are you?
Hello. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. I know that we're talking kind of early this morning, but you're an early riser.
Yes.
You get up at 4:30. So,
Yes.
so this is nothing for you. That is a tip I think I'm going to take before we even start is just getting up early. When you start your day just early, you just get so much things accomplished, and it's just a good way to start your day. So I'm already learning from you. So what I want to do, I have been following your journey for a while now, and you have done so much in a short period of time from not being a full-time personal trainer to becoming a full-time personal trainer. But can you set the stage of what life looked like before you became a full-time personal trainer, your careers, your aspirations? What did it look like for you?
For sure. So, prior to becoming a personal trainer, well, let me go back a little bit before that. I graduated from North Carolina A&T in 2007 with my degree in biology pre-med. I wanted to go into the medical field. At one point, I wanted to be a doctor. I just knew I wanted to be in medicine because foundationally, I wanted to help people. So after some years of kind of just dabbling in a bunch of different specialties, I landed in pharmaceutical sales, which was great because it allowed me to work in a bunch of different specialties depending on the quarter. So I might have been in cardiology at one point, working with the heart, pulmonology, working with lungs. There was a point where I worked in podiatry, was working with feet, which actually I really enjoyed. Even dermatology, working with the skin all over the body. So I did pharmaceutical sales full time prior to becoming a personal trainer and creating Curves and Gains. And I also just worked out a lot. I really, really enjoyed it throughout my entire life. I danced while I was at A&T. So being in shape was kind of a requirement to be able to be as successful of a dancer that I was. So that was something I just enjoyed. So more of a hobby, working out with friends, family members, old high school friends, things like that. So yeah, I was a workaholic. I worked full-time and then I worked part-time at Ruby Tuesday, waiting tables.
Hey, making that money.
Yes, because I always had like big goals. I knew that at some point in time I wanted to do personal training. Honestly, I never thought I would do it full time initially. I just liked working out and I thought it was a good source of income because again, I was a workaholic. I like to make money. So I'm like, let me make money on something fun. And then I, pretty much was just focused on short-term goals in my personal life. Like, okay, I want to buy a house. I want to get a car, things like that.
And I love that. And it's so funny how you say you like working out because I know for myself, it can be, I don't necessarily look forward to it, but when I'm doing it, I'm glad that I did it.
Right.
And we're going to talk about that a little bit later of ways to make it fun, ways to make it enjoyable. And every time I watch like different fitness videos, yours, of course, and I love how, and I'm always thinking to myself, they must love it. Like they have to love it to do this every day and to pour into the lives of other people. I guess that's the foundation of it, right?
For sure.
But you have to also love the activity of doing it. So you're definitely in the field that you're supposed to be in. And I know that, so you were at one point making a lot of money. You're doing pharmaceutical sales.
Yeah.
And life was good. So what made you make the shift to become a full-time personal trainer when, from the outside looking in, it seemed like you had it made and that was a big financial shift as well. Can you talk about that?
For sure. And I'm actually glad you said that because I think a lot of people assume that, I went from doing well to doing better. It actually was kind of retrogressing a little bit when it comes to finances. So I'm glad you pointed that out because that's an assumption people don't see a lot. So I didn't. I made the choice, but the initial choice wasn't mine. As working with a pharmaceutical company, they went through a lot of issues internally, and they laid off over 200 reps. I was one of them. Actually, laid off 3 days before my birthday, so it was like, oh, this is great,
Happy birthday to
right?
you.
So the initial decision was not mine. Because they laid off so many people, recruiters were calling my phone back to back to back, looking to pick people up, things like that. So the opportunity for me to continue work was there. I had actually went ahead and signed on with a new company, registered for everything. They had plane tickets for me to fly to Florida. I'm in Maryland, fly to Florida for training, all of that good stuff. And then I was like, no, I'm going to do this full time. I literally went on interview after interview, argued them down for the salary that I wanted. Like I did all the things
Right.
because in your mind, you're supposed to have a job. So
Right.
I need to get
Make a
another
living.
job. I lost
Yeah.
my job, so I need to get another job.
Right.
But I knew 1,000% sure for a fact, if I did that, I never would have went full time in business because I was too comfortable. And I feel like God needed to force me out for me to do what he needed me to do. I never doubted like my purpose and my passion, but I did doubt if I could make it doing
Yeah.
that. I
Right.
did. So I guess my pivotal moment was not so much the fear of not paying my bills, not, being successful. That wasn't really the fear. It was the fear of me not doing what I'm called to do and walking in it
Mm.
fully. That
Wow.
was more of my fear. I knew like my heart just like stopped, not stopped, like drop. You feel that gut feeling?
Mm-hmm.
Like I have to do this. It was just like a emotional pull. Like
Wow.
I need to fulfill my gift. Like this is what I'm supposed to do. And he
Mm-hmm.
moved this out the way so I
Mm-hmm.
can move forward. So it was more of that that made it like a hard line. This is my decision, no question asked, versus me being scared of the
Mm-hmm.
other side of it.
Mm-hmm. That's a powerful thing that you said. It was that you didn't want. It wasn't that your focus was on losing, the salary or whatever. What made you take the step was that you placed more of an emphasis on not being in God's will, on not
Mhm.
doing your purpose, and that outweighed anything else.
Right, right.
So for you to
And
get
I'm
to that,
not,
good.
yeah, I wouldn't say that those other things weren't concerned because I'm
Right.
human. Of course, you
Of
naturally think
course.
about those things.
Hmm.
But that was not the motivating factor.
Okay.
Mhm,
Yeah, when
mhm.
you get to that, and for those who are watching too, it's like when get to that place, and it's hard. It's not like it happens overnight,
Right.
but for you, I'm sure it took time. I'm sure it took a lot of prayer as well. And I know you talked about also like you're thankful for your support group and your family to help you
Mhm.
along the way, but you got to that place eventually to where you said enough is enough. Like
Yep.
I got to do this.
Yep.
That's pretty powerful. And so you were leading classes in person while you were working before you started leading full time?
Right, right.
Okay.
So I started my company in November of 2015. At that time, I started teaching classes on Sundays only because I felt like that was a non competitive day. Everybody worked out during the week after work or first thing in the morning on Saturday. So I was like, with me doing something on Sunday, like early afternoon after church, it was no harm, no foul. You wouldn't be missing your regular class. Likely you weren't doing anything anyways. So why not try me out?
Sure.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's where I started. And I had only been in business 5 months
Okay.
before this layoff happened.
Oh
And I
wow.
always tell that because people feel like you need to get ready to leave corporate. To say I was ready is a joke. I wasn't even doing personal training. I literally was just doing evenings and weekends. At that time, I did pick up
Okay.
Tuesdays and Thursdays at that point, but it was just an evening hustle. That's
Mm-hmm.
all it was. So no way I was thinking I could pay my mortgage, pay my car note, pay this, that, and that.
Mm-hmm.
I was only in business for 5 months.
Months.
So it wasn't like I hear a lot of my entrepreneur colleagues say, I'm gonna just do a couple more years and
Yeah.
then when I'm ready,
Then
when
I'll
I
be
get my
ready.
money, when I did it, it's like how people say with a kid, I don't care what you do, you're never
You're not
ready.
gonna be ready. 100%. Mm-hmm.
Right, right. So I was just doing the classes, and I only had 2 classes I was teaching at the time in comparison to the 5 that I teach now. But I was only doing 2.
Mm-hmm.
That's it,
Mm-hmm.
without
And
personal training.
and then so you were doing that for 5 months before you started doing it full time.
Correct.
Wow. And then when you decided, okay, I'm going to do this full time, were you teaching every day, or how many days a week did you start off with? Okay.
I mean, I would have loved to, but my business hadn't grown that much. I mean,
Mhm.
contrary to other fitness professionals, I started literally ground up. Most people start in a gym, so you
Mhm.
kind of get your friends and family, and then you get just
Other people.
people just
Yeah.
randomly walking in, like, oh, I want to work out. Oh, we're going to
Mhm.
sign you to Coach Patrice.
Mhm.
I didn't have that advantage. I literally flyer, person to person, demo here,
Yeah.
expo there, like
Mhm.
built it ground up. So no, I didn't. I mean, I wanted to work every day, but I didn't have clientele. I
Mhm.
started doing personal training in people's living room.
Okay.
I would drive to people's houses, apartment complex, or if you had like some type of gym membership somewhere, I was flying all around the DMV, which is very
Mhm.
tiny, but it seems like huge when it comes to traffic.
Mhm. Of course. Yep.
Just training people, kind of, sort of taking whoever would take me almost.
Mhm.
When it was at that point, I kind of made a decision. The good thing about pharmaceutical sales, you deal with two things.
Mhm.
If you don't work, you don't get paid
Mhm.
because everything is pretty much commission based. Like your base salary is something, but it's really not enough to live on. So you kind of already have established work ethic, and you get very comfortable with people rejecting you.
Okay.
You have to,
Yeah.
because you can walk in and you bring in coffee and donuts to the doctor. You think you about to have this
Mhm.
dramatic discussion, and they're like, "I don't got time today." And you're
Mhm.
like, "Oh, okay."
Okay.
So that kind of helped build a level of resilience for me for my business, because of course I'm starting my own business. Everybody I know is going to support me. Of
Of
course,
course. That's just what they do. That's
what
what
else would
they
they
should
do?
do.
You know what I mean? So when I decided to go full time, my expectations and the actions didn't line up. So I just had to figure things out. I've always been somebody like, I can work. That's one thing I can do. I can
Yeah.
work. So
Mhm.
I just, went ahead about it and just trying to figure it out, keep swinging it back. People, I would have class, people wouldn't show up.
Okay. At a building in a gym or your own?
At
Okay.
that time, January of 2016, so 3 months before I started full time, that's when I started subleasing in an actual
Okay.
space. There was a
Okay.
guy who owned his own gym, and he allowed me to sublease. And that was also a crazy story because I was subleasing at a karate studio just on
Mhm.
their weekends.
Mhm.
The guy calls me while on vacation. I'm in DR and
Mhm.
says, "We're moving to North Carolina. You have to get all your stuff out in 3 days."
Wow.
I wasn't even in Maryland.
Wow.
So my family is like getting my stuff out. So now I don't have anywhere to run my company. So I
Mhm.
found this guy in January.
Mhm.
He's ready to close his doors because he's not making rent. And I'm like, I'll pay you whatever. And he's
Yeah.
like, just give me whatever you can because I
Wow.
just need anything at
Look
this
at
point. I
that.
always call him my angel because he like saved my business. I needed
Mhm.
somewhere to go this is like over 7 days. It was
Right.
craziness.
Wow. Okay.
So I was in his space when
Mhm.
I got laid off. So I did have a physical space to be. But
Mhm.
again, I was only paying rent for 3 days a week because that's all I was doing.
Okay. Okay. And then the fact that you said no one was showing up, but you just kept doing it. And I love how you shared that part of your story. After 5 months, you did take a leap of faith, but with that is going to come sacrifice.
For
It's
sure.
going to come
For
hard
sure.
work.
For
But you
sure.
knew that God was leading you
For
to take
sure.
this leap of faith and do it. You felt it within through prayer, through family and support. You knew it. And so that helped you keep going. And I also love how you said you wasn't 100% ready,
No.
because I
No.
have been in that place too, to where it's like, okay, no, I can't do it until it's perfect. Perfectionism is like the catalyst to being stagnant. I feel
Right.
like it is the thing that
Right.
keeps you from moving forward because you want it to be perfect, and nothing is ever perfect. So I love how you pointed that out. So you weren't 100% ready.
No.
You knew it was time to go, but you weren't 100%, but you did it anyway.
Hmm.
Um, and that kept you going. So how did prayer help you with this transition?
Oh man, that was like the beginning and the end, the middle, everything. Like I prayed about it all the time. I think for me, and I think if any entrepreneur is listening to this, or really anyone, but specifically entrepreneurs, like use your life as your own testimonies to get you through situations.
Hmm.
Like I could think about times where I didn't know how I was going to do, and he made a way. I didn't know how I was going to do, and he made a way. And the way that he made was not something that I came up with. He just showed it to me. So I'm like, obedience is necessary. You have to be obedient because if you're obedient, he will show you and open it up for you. But you can't have faith and fear in the same house, right?
Mm-mm.
So for me, I had to just look at what he's already done for me, the things he already shown me countless times. Like, I got your back. You might fall, you might stub your knee, but you ain't gonna break your leg. You know, like
Right.
that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. So that my prayers always like I used to say, and I still say the same prayer: keep me healthy and humble to be able to serve the people you want me to serve.
Mhm.
Never get too
Mhm.
big headed of all the things that I have, and physically healthy enough to continue to do what I need to do. And I just used to pray that all the time. Certain
Mhm.
stuff, I be like, I know he gonna do it. I know it. I don't know how. I don't know.
Mhm.
Like, people
Mhm.
think that I had this whole grandiose 30, 60, 90
Plan.
day business plan, and this is what I'm gonna do.
Right.
And no,
Yeah.
no,
Mhm.
not at all. I just used to pray like, God, if I am doing things that you have me to do, continue to provide. If not,
Mhm.
sever it so it's unrecognizable. Like, I can't even see
Mhm.
it. It don't even look right. It look crazy. So I
Right.
know where to move. And thankfully for me, earlier on, some years back, I took this Bible class called Discerning the Voice of God, just being able to understand being in
Mm.
his presence and hearing
Mhm.
him. And that has helped me so much because I feel like I know when he's speaking to me. I know when he's telling me to move. I know when he's like, you tried it, so you're going to sit in that for a second.
Right.
And not even on no punishment type of thing, but it's about obedience, like submitting to what he
Mhm.
wants for you versus what you think is appropriate for right now.
Right, like a parent would do to their child. You know,
Exactly.
you want your child to learn along the way, so sometimes it takes that discipline, and I'm gonna show you how you took the wrong step so that next time you can trust me. And I love how you talked about obedience and
Hmm.
taking a step and moving forward, because you could have just said, okay, I'm gonna quit my job and then I'm gonna wait for God to just throw everything in my lap because I trusted
Hmm.
him. But no,
Hmm.
you were actually taking the steps. I had a
Right.
conversation with my sister this week about that, and she was just encouraging me and reminded me about the importance of God can't move you if you're not walking. Like, she
Right.
said, I have to give her credit to this. So, Adrian, this is all you. But she basically was like, it's almost like a GPS. And you turn on a GPS, but if you don't move your car, then the GPS is not going to work. So that God is our GPS. If we don't start to take the steps, then how will he direct our path? You
Yep.
know, you have to move. You have to
You have to.
make movement and make plans and make action, take action towards
Yep.
where he's calling you to go. So I'm glad you talked about obedience and the actions that you took
Hmm.
to get to where you are. So I wanted to definitely start with your story because I believe is definitely going to encourage and motivate someone else. But I also want to get into some tips for healthy nutrition and pick your
Sure.
brain
Sure.
on all of these things, because I know I need help in that area. It's a growth process, you know, and
Hmm.
I believe other people will too. So let's start off with nutrition.
Okay.
I know that you talk about proper nutrition and adequate sleep are significant to any weight loss program.
Yes.
And you said that you can't outtrain a bad diet.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, you can't. I have tried it, it does not work. And so, talk to us about why we should place emphasis on nutrition first and foremost.
Yeah. So, oh man, nutrition, contrary to popular belief, is way more important than exercise. Like,
Hmm.
extra, and I'm not even talking about like 60/40. I'm talking about like 80/20.
Yeah.
Like, it's a big deal. Why is that? Okay, so who I talk about nutrition all the time, and it has so many layers. So we're gonna start at the
Hmm.
high layer and then I'll
Okay.
take it down. So just top layer altogether. Calories are not calories when you're eating food. So the assumption is if I'm supposed to eat 1,200 calories a day, I could eat just 1,200 calories a day. But the 1,200 calories a day that you eat, they matter what they are because of how it breaks down in your system. For an
Hmm.
example, if you're eating a carb, everybody has heard on some platform, whether it be YouTube, social media, eat the complex carbs, not the white breads or this and that. But here's a question: why? Because of how it metabolizes in your system, meaning when you eat the complex carbs, the brown rice, the sweet potatoes, all the whole grain things, they come into your body sucks up the nutrients and eliminates the rest of it. When you have the white breads, the white rice, the potato chips, this and that, all those other things, they have so many other additives in them. It takes your body significantly longer to break it down. And some of it stays in the lower part of your stomach, which is everybody's worst part,
Hmm.
and it turns into simple sugars and it just hangs out and turns into stored fat. So the biggest thing with nutrition is no matter how much cardio you're doing, if you're constantly putting stored fat in your body, guess what it's going to do? store the fat.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You know what I
Right.
mean? So,
Right.
and that's just an example when it comes to carbohydrates. It's the same with fats. It's the same with different types of proteins and snacks and everything around. That can even go on a second level to processed foods versus natural foods.
Okay.
So that's another conversation of how natural foods, because they just go in, again, break down and excrete. Processed foods, they have to break down all of those things they put in them, either to make you feel like it
Mm-hmm.
tastes like whatever, like those kind of faux meats, or those sugars that are added to certain foods and things like that too. So in that realm, you're giving yourself a harder way to go to burn calories, because naturally they're not coming in and leaving out and not adding any
Right.
nutritional value. So
Right.
that was like a high level
I
science.
love that. No, yeah, that helps. I mean, because I didn't count my calories a lot until I think early this year. I did like a diet type thing. It was a family weight loss challenge. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna do the calorie thing because I want to win. And I didn't start off too great. And I realized, okay, counting my calories did help me realize how much I actually eat. So that was good for me. And of course, it can be, and you can be extreme in a lot of things to where,
Right.
it's not healthy. But
Mhm.
counting my calories helped me. But like you said, it's not like I can just say, okay, I'm trying to do 2,000 and calories and then I eat. And that's probably a lot. I forgot like what the
Not
average.
necessarily. Not necessarily.
Okay.
It depends on the person. I just threw 1,200 out there. That's
Okay,
actually
so
low.
say if I
That's
say, oh,
actually
right,
pretty
2,000 or whatever, but
good.
that doesn't mean, okay, I go to Bojangles and then I
Hmm.
go to Showmars and then I go to Chick-fil-A, which I love
Hmm.
Chick-fil-A. Nothing against
Hmm.
any of these places, but
Right.
I'm not cooking, I'm not eating whole foods, I'm not cooking anything at home, not getting my fruits and my vegetables. I'm like, okay, I hit my mark, I'm good. Like, no, I have to add the fruits and vegetables and the good food within my calorie intake. So, can you talk to us about what a balanced diet kind of looks like? Like, what
Sure.
should it have?
Sure. So that is kind of different in relative to the person and their goals. But generally speaking, and calorie counting, just to go back to that, that intimidates people because they're like, oh my gosh, it's so time consuming. Oh my God,
Mhm.
I can't. And I get that. Nobody wants you to do that to the grave. But just like you said, doing it for a certain time to understand foods is very necessary. You can do it for
Mhm.
7 days. Just commit to 7 days and then you'll be able to see. But to answer your question, so let's say weight loss is your goal. Like, I want to lose weight.
Mhm.
You want to go heavy on the protein. And if you're not familiar with what proteins are, they're usually animal proteins people eat, meaning chicken, turkey, beef. I do not do pork. So sorry to all the
Mhm.
pork lovers. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same.
I don't personally
Okay.
subscribe to all of them, but the only appropriate, if you will, ones that
Yeah.
I, subscribe to will be those. And then you want to go heavy on the vegetables and make your vegetables colorful, and make your plate colorful at that.
Mhm.
So greens, any type of greens, really. Okay, wait, let me say this too.
Mhm.
Spoiler alert: green beans are beans. It's not a vegetable. So if green beans is your
Mm.
vegetable of choice every night, switch it up because it has a lot of
Yeah.
fat in them. It is a bean,
Good
not
to
a vegetable.
know.
Under the
A
legume
lot of
family.
fat in them.
It is a very convenient choice because, if you have family,
Yeah,
kids
so
like it, all that
easy.
good stuff, right?
It's
But
green, so you think, okay, this this is
exactly, exactly.
vegetable.
So that's one. But yeah, you want to have some greens on there, and then mix in some peppers or something like that. Put some fruit to it, some blueberries, some blackberries. Get some
Yes.
color on the plate. If you're not a calorie counter, if you don't have at least 3 colors on your plate or 2 colors on your plate, that's a way to realize, like, dang, everything is brown. Like, I got all
Mhm.
potatoes, like everything
Right.
is brown or something like that. Like, add some good
Good
color
way
to
thinking.
it. So that's a good way if you're
Mm.
not a calorie counter and you're like, I'm sorry, sis, I'm just never going to do that. That's a
Mhm.
good way to look at it. But heavy on the protein, heavy on the vegetable. Don't skip the carbs. They're not your enemy, is contrary to
Okay.
popular belief. They're not your enemy. Complex carbs are your friend. Remember, your body gets fuel from carbohydrates.
Mhm.
Carbohydrates are in all types of food. It's not just your traditional source, but don't shy away from them. Everything is good in the right frequency.
Okay. That makes my heart happy.
Yeah,
I
heavy
need
on the
snack
protein.
carbs.
This the order of filling your plate.
Mhm.
Protein, fill half the plate around with vegetables, and it should be like a little quarter of a piece of a plate left, maybe even a
Okay.
third. No, more of a quarter. Then you
Okay.
put carbs, and that's
Okay.
how you kind of do it.
That's good to know. I'm a visual person, so I can remember that.
Yeah,
If my
yeah.
whole half of my plate has fries, then that's probably not like the best. Okay, so that helps me.
Probably wrong.
That helps me out. Unless it's a cheat day, I guess. I don't know how you feel about cheat meals, cheat days, but
Well, So I don't like to use the word
I
cheat
figured.
day per se.
Yeah.
Um, I just tell people if you want to eat something that's not on your plan, just eat something that's not on your plan. The
Right.
reason I don't like cheat day because it's a mindset thing. Like it
Mm.
makes it seem like you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, that's
So
so
instead
true.
of calling it a cheat day or cheat meal,
Mhm.
just say I'm eating something offline. Or people say I'm gonna treat myself. I'm gonna
Yes, I
reward
say that all the time. I'm a
as
treat
if
myself.
right, as if everything else you ate during the week was not a treat or wasn't good for you or wasn't that. So it's a mindset shift. It's just a trick of the mind to say, I'm just eating off plan. I'm gonna have something off plan. So
Mm.
it doesn't like villainize
Yes.
the foods.
I
So it
like
doesn't like
that.
demonize it, right? So I'm not against them.
Mhm.
I tell people all the time, I love candy. I will eat it to the grave. I
My
love
weakness,
candy. I
sweets.
eat it in moderation.
Mhm.
Sure, but I'm never going to tell a client that they can't have something that they like.
Yeah.
All things are good in moderation. Some
Mhm.
things might be quarterly, monthly, weekly, whatever it may look like for that
Mhm.
person and their goals. But I just don't like the word cheat meal because
Yeah,
it kind of puts a negative connotation over
around it.
certain foods and stuff. Yeah.
That's good. And that's power in the tongue, right? So what we say is so powerful and it affects our minds. Like you said, it's a
Hmm.
mindset thing. So I'm going to work on that. Like the words that I use to
Hmm.
express what I'm doing and what I'm eating. And like you said, it makes it seem like the other things that we're eating is like so horrible, but it's good for our body. So it
Right.
is a treat.
Right.
All those days are a treat because it's good for
Hmm.
us. So I like that. Thank you for
Yeah.
saying that. Okay, so we're gonna shift to exercise now. We have
Okay.
our meal plan down. We have, our nutrition goals and all of that, and we're ready to gear up our physical fitness.
Okay.
And there's so much out there with fitness, whether it's, you should exercise an hour a day or only 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. You should do weights and cardio, focus more on weights and not cardio. It's just so much.
It
So,
is.
can you help us by just sharing what a balanced fitness routine looks like for the average person? You just want to maybe lose a little weight and tone a little bit. What does that look like for you?
Okay. So the most important thing I can share, if anybody hears anything this whole time I'm here, the biggest thing you can do to help with weight loss when it comes to exercise is be consistent.
Hmm.
Period. I don't care if you do 3 hours a hit one day, 10 minutes of walking one day. That stuff, in theory, is nowhere near as important as being consistent. This is why you can do 10 minutes of walking every single day. That's it, just 10 minutes of walking.
True.
And doing that every single day will outweigh the person that goes to class sporadically
Hmm.
or has a trainer and goes sporadically. Guaranteed every
That's
time.
big.
Because two things will happen. Your body will get used to you being active and constantly burning calories. Like that naturally will boost your metabolism. Not to go back to the food part, but boosting your metabolism helps you burn fat. So doing consistent aerobic activity, even if it's walking, like people walking has such a bad name, but it's such a good cardio source,
It
especially
is.
for
It
my
really
ladies that are
is.
like in the 30s and the knees are not,
Yeah.
they're letting us down a little bit.
Right.
Walking is really, really good for you.
It
So the biggest
is.
thing I would say is your consistency and not to minimize things. Like it was like, I was gonna work out, but all I did was this little walk. Like, no, like that's
Oh,
actually good if you did
yeah.
that. So don't minimize. And even let's say you get home from work, because some people are going back to work now. You don't have time to do a whole hour workout. Like I didn't want to work out because I didn't have time. Well, if you have 15 minutes, that's
Yes.
good too. So number two, I would say don't minimize the small things you can do to keep yourself consistent. I would say if you're looking to lose weight and you just need to do something, like you have a lot on your plate, you don't have a ton of time, just do daily deposits of 10 to 15 minutes. Now, what is the 10 to 15 minutes? What are you going to do? Maybe you don't have a gym membership, still kind of chilly outside. Maybe you're not going to go for a walk. YouTube is your best friend.
Yes. I love me a good
YouTube
YouTube
has
workout.
everything. Shameless
Mhm.
plug. I have a YouTube channel as well, but YouTube has everything. Even if you want to do an indoor walk, they have indoor walks on YouTube. Like it's
Mm.
literally at your disposal to do anything. And what I always tell people, because they say, no, what do I need to do? Like, tell me specifically.
Right.
Do something you enjoy because you'll keep doing
Yes.
it.
I was going to talk
Whether
about that. I'm glad you said that.
that's dance fitness, whether that's hit, whether that's cycling, I'm not going to tell you, oh, you need a Peloton or you need to join this thing or you need to do this. Sure, I can tell you what things burn more calories and all of that kind of stuff. I can definitely tell you that. If you want me to get that specific, I will. But I'm telling you what works is consistency and doing things that you enjoy, because you'll keep doing it. You'll keep doing it.
Yes, you're so right. Thank you for sharing that, because I love dancing. And so in dancing, I mean, it's a workout when you go
Yep.
to a dance class. And
Yep.
so, but I don't feel like I'm working out. I love it and I enjoy it. Running, I enjoy running. I love that. Do something that you enjoy. And that helps switch it up too, because I was going to ask, how do you keep it interesting so you're not doing the same
Right.
thing? You hit on that. Do something
Yeah.
that you enjoy and find
Yep.
something that you like and switch it up.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a few other questions I want to ask you, but I thought we could play a little game.
Okay.
Because there are a lot, like I said before, so much information out there when it comes to fitness and nutrition. And so let's play a game where I'm going to ask you a few questions and you tell us if it's a fact or a myth. You can share a little bit more information about it if you want.
Okay.
But let's do that. Fact or myth, okay? So here are a few statements. One, which you already talked about, carbs. Carbs are not bad for you, so I won't even go there. You've answered that. Carbs are good for you depending on how much in complex carbs, right?
Yep.
Are good for you. So artificial sweeteners, are they better for you than refined sugar?
No, that's a myth. That is a myth.
Okay.
So in theory, it's led to believe it's better because there's some type of manufacturing in it that says, zero this, zero that. But they still have to put something in it to make it sweet. So sugar is one thing, but sucralose is sugar, glucose, like anything with OSE is a form of sugar. So sometimes the better option, the only artificial sweetener, if you will, was not even artificial because it's natural, is stevia or regular sugar. The artificial sweetener, especially in like the 0-calorie drinks and things like that, they're not really better for you because it's processed. So if you think about it from a grand scheme of things, if you want to have an alternative sweetener versus sugar, you want to go with like honey, agave, monk fruit, things that are natural versus artificial. Anything artificial is
it's just not good. It's not good for you.
No.
I tried date syrup for the first time this year, and I really liked it.
Yep.
So I replaced that, and I don't use a lot, obviously, still everything in moderation, but I replaced that instead of my regular syrup.
For sure.
So yeah. Okay, so no to artificial sweeteners unless stevia and regular sugar, to stick with those.
Yeah, well, I don't recommend regular sugar. I recommend, like, for my clients, I tell them to do honey, like in their tea. I have them do agave. I have them do monk fruit sweetener, things like that. But
stay away from.
In my opinion, based on regular sugar and artificial sugar, they're kind of the same thing.
The same. Okay. One is not better than the other. Go with the other options that you mentioned. Okay. Thanks for clarifying that. That makes sense. Coffee is bad for you.
Yeah, that's a myth. That is a myth. Coffee is actually really good for you. Now, the mocha latte, blah, 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 blah. I can't co-sign on that. But the reason why, if like bodybuilders, they do like a shot of espresso or something like that, because the caffeine that's in coffee is a metabolism booster, which helps you burn fat quicker. Caffeine is your friend when it comes to weight loss because it helps your metabolism speed up, which helps you burn fat. Now, again, all things good in moderation. So don't OD, don't put all the creamer in there where it's like, do you need some coffee with the creamer? Things like that.
Patrice said it was good for me, so.
Right, exactly. Like, if you can tolerate it black, go for it.
Okay. Our coffee lovers, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
That. So
or do you like a nut milk instead of a traditional creamer? So like an almond milk, maybe a vanilla almond milk, or like a cashew milk or something like that. So I do acknowledge black coffee is harsh for some people. So maybe a nut milk instead of a traditional creamer.
Okay, I love that. I like oat milk in mine, or coconut milk.
Yeah.
So, okay, good. So, okay, next. Too much cardio can have the opposite effect when you want to burn calories.
Yeah, so that's like a double one. So I'm going to say myth. And I'm only going to say myth because technically burning calories is not a bad thing. The reason why I think people say that is because people tend to overdo it. You only need to do 30 minutes to get into a fat burning zone. That's
Hmm.
why that statement is present. And what
Gotcha.
people tend to do is overdo that because they think more is better in this sense. In theory, yes, but what happens after a certain point of time, because you're in a space of fatigue, you run the risk of either setting yourself up for like some type of injury, or
Right.
maybe not even having the best output because you're so depleted, you're not even making as much progress as maybe you were in the first 10 to 15 minutes. Additionally, I think why people get confused with that statement is because if you hyper focus on cardio without the toning part of it,
Hmm.
you don't get that tone look that you want, and you tend to have more of a loose look. So that's probably why
Okay.
it gets that bad reputation. But I
Okay.
can't say that's bad.
100% bad.
Right,
Okay.
right,
So at least 30 minutes gets you at a good place, but you don't want to overdo it. You want to balance
right.
weightlifting, cardio, or body weight, and then cardio.
Yeah.
Okay. You should stretch before you work out.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That is like, if I could put that on my forehead, that is so important.
Hmm.
Warm ups are so important. Again, going back to the knees, ankles, back, hips, we got a lot going on now. We're not like college age anymore.
Right.
Technically speaking, we did warm ups back then too.
Hmm.
So when I warm up, traditional warm up, and my physical therapist stays on me for this too. You want to do like five, 5 to 8 minutes of like some type of aerobic exercise. So like walking,
I'm glad you said that.
whatever. I do the elliptical first before you do the traditional, bend over, touch your toes, thing like that. Cold muscles are torn muscles, so you have to warm your muscles up, right?
Hmm.
So there's two type of warm ups. There's a dynamic warm up and a static warm up. Your dynamic warm up is you jumping jacks, high knees, blah blah blah, just warming your body up. Static is your traditional bend down, touch my toe, lean one leg out, this and that.
Hmm.
My warm up routine is easily, no exaggeration, probably about 14 minutes
Hmm.
before I even start my workout,
Hmm.
because that's how you prevent the injuries. You have to warm them up. You cannot just come in the gym, take your jacket off, and just jump into it, or just turn the TV on
Right.
and jump right in. Most videos they give you a warm up anyway, but
Hmm.
it's very, very, very important.
Important. I
Pre-important.
love it. And I love how you differentiated the difference between static stretching and what
Yeah.
was the other one?
Dynamic. So you
Dynamic.
want to do the dynamic first because that warms the muscles up. Those are the ones where you're kind of bouncing a little bit on your toes, maybe some jacks, some high knees, not something too crazy jogging in place, getting your warm muscles just warm, moving them around
Mhm,
a little bit. And then you go to like the holds. Hold your toe, 30
mhm,
seconds here, hold this,
mhm.
blah, blah, blah. Ankle pull, quad stretch the front of your
Mhm.
leg, that type of stuff.
Okay, because you don't want to stretch cold muscles. Okay,
Oh, no.
that makes a good that makes sense, and that's a really good point because I remember before I knew that I would just go straight to like the static stretching, and that's not good. You need
Hmm.
to do a dynamic stretching, warm your muscles up first.
For sure.
One last one: smoothies are a good substitute for breakfast.
So technically speaking, yes, they are. They're a quick, easy, good, good option. The only thing is, of course, as with anything, balancing out having veggies and fruit in there. You don't want to go 100% fruit. You want to put some veggies in there, whether you have a base of a mix of spinach and kale, or spinach only, kale and whatever, something like that. But yeah, they're a great alternative. I have clients that drink that every single morning just because time and it's
Hmm.
easy. Throw protein in there, don't throw protein in there, it's definitely a good option for
Okay,
sure.
a good
And
option.
that could also be a snack during the day. Like if you have an extremely busy work schedule and you're like, I don't have time to cook, let me just make a quick smoothie so I
Mhm.
can have something. That's really, really important.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Good to know. Good to know.
Mhm.
All right. Well, I want to, before we wrap up,
Mhm.
just two more questions.
Sure.
This show is all about becoming. And
Mhm.
I have seen you become, and just based off what you said, you have become someone who is confident, someone who isn't afraid to take risks. Who do you see yourself becoming?
Wow. Man. So short, I have like stages of this,
Mhm,
right? So short term, I am becoming a leader in my community for fitness. I have been in a position for a long time to just run my company somewhat in my own space. Now, specifically next month, I'm moving into a space physically where I'll be able to be a leader amongst my peers to
mhm,
go further and reach into the community. So I'm heavy on mindset. If you probably can't tell already, I'm
Mhm.
real big on mindset, because you can lift 100 pounds or eat like a bird, but if your mindset about what you're doing is not there, all
Yes.
of this does not matter, right?
Right.
So being able to be a source and a resource to people like I have had the advantage of having throughout my journey, that is who I am becoming over time. I want to be a blessing to other people,
Mhm.
specifically fitness professionals that have a dream but need help. I either
Mhm.
need help in a physical space and somewhere to go. I either need help in just encouragement and direction. I either need help in what should I do and where do I start. My foundation is always going to be helping people, but
Mhm.
what that looks like over time has started to transition. And what's important to me is to give back to what was given to me. Like,
Mhm.
I have a great story, but it's not off the heels of just Patrice only. I
Right.
have a fitness coach, I have a mentor, I have, all of these people
Mhm.
have created and developed who I am. And now that I have elevated to a certain point, I am now becoming that person to someone
Right,
else.
to someone else. That's beautiful.
Yeah,
You're giving back
yeah,
what was put into you.
absolutely.
So, I know you talked about your classes. Where can people find you? How can they take your classes right now?
So, right now I'm doing everything virtual for the month of March. Everything is in virtual. So that means boot camp is virtual, booty boot camp, everybody's favorite, cardio and core, upper body strength classes, dance fitness classes. All of those are virtual. If you just go to either my Instagram page at Curves and Gains or my website at Curves and Gains, you're able to sign up for those. In April, I am in Maryland. I will be going into the physical space. I'll be in a space in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. So you can
Awesome.
come see me in
Yes, I'll
person.
have to take a road trip and take one of your
Yeah,
classes. I
yeah.
have family in DC and Maryland, so that'd be perfect. I had to get everyone to come to take your class.
Yeah.
Um,
And then the good thing there, like I kind of subtly mentioned, there'll be some other trainers that'll be working outside of my facility. So there'll be other formats outside of the ones that I
right.
mentioned for clients to take advantage of as well.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited about that.
Thank you.
I'm excited to just see all the great things that you're going to do in the
Thank
future.
you. Thank you so
And
much.
I want to just leave with one thing. If you could just give a piece of advice to someone who may be in a similar situation as you were in, where they wanted to take a leap of faith and try something new, and it may feel a little bit scary, but they know that God is leading them in a certain direction, what advice would you share with them?
I would definitely 3000% tell them to do it. My coach told me this, and it sounds ridiculous. Messy action is better than no action, meaning you may not have all the pieces of the puzzle,
Wow.
but if you know you're walking in your gift, you have to keep walking, because this is something that I think about often, and sometimes it makes me emotional. There's somebody waiting for you.
Mm,
If I don't wake up and do what oh my God, I'm gonna cry. If I don't wake up and do what I'm supposed to do, I'm stopping somebody else
wow.
from reaching their goals, from attaining what they need. I have to forget about everything and do what I'm supposed to do.
Mm,
And it's somebody, I don't care what you do, photography, you can make puzzles. I don't care what you do. There is somebody waiting for you somewhere. There's somebody watching you that's saying, if you stop, I'm going to stop too. You never know who's watching you. You never know who you impact. You have to keep going. You pray and you use your own testimony. Shoot, you can use my testimony,
mhm.
because the God I serve is the same God you serve. Okay.
Amen.
So listen, it will work, but it absolutely will not work if you don't do anything. You have to. Somebody is depending on you, and you are blocking their blessing out of fear. And it's never
Wow.
going to work. Stop letting your fears get in front of you. You
So
have to do
true.
this. Just like this conversation we're having. You had to take this step of faith. Somebody's going to hear this, it's going to impact them. But what if you didn't?
Mm,
What if
mhm,
you never did?
mhm.
Nobody would ever hear these conversations that you're putting on your platform for people. So
Right.
you just can't underestimate what your purpose is and why you're supposed to be here. Don't look at it so personally. What about my bills? What about mine? What about mine? It's, what if you're wrong?
Mhm,
Like, what if you're wrong nobody's gonna show up, or this and that? Or what if they don't? Like, what if I just would have closed my doors when nobody showed up?
mhm. Yeah.
So I would just say, just go for it, and don't think about you. Think about the community that you're serving, whoever that is. whoever that is, and never underestimate who you impact in your journey. Because,
Wow.
like I said, you could be making a natural hair product, and it could be some child that's ashamed of who she is or how her hair looks, and your product might give her the confidence she needs to walk outside.
Right.
You never know. So
Wow, Patrice,
that's
thank
what
you
I was
for
saying.
sharing that.
You can tell I'm like super passionate about what I do.
That's it. No, and I love it. And I thank you for sharing your passion with us
Thank
today.
you. Thank
I need
you.
to replay what you just said at times when I feel like I want to stop.
Yep,
That is definitely so encouraging. So thank you for sharing that with
for
us. And
sure, for
thank you for
sure.
being here today, for sharing your knowledge and just all that you encompass. You just
Thank you.
radiate so much light and
Thank
joy.
you so
And
much.
I
Thank you
know
for
that
having me.
people
Thank
will
you.
be blessed by this discussion. So thank you, Patrice.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And thank you all for watching. I don't know about you, but I am even more encouraged and inspired to just live a healthy lifestyle. I'm also encouraged and inspired to walk out my dreams with boldness and confidence. And I hope that you are too. Patrice took a step of faith. She prayed through the difficult times and she's living out her dreams. And I look forward to seeing you live out your dreams as you become who God created you to be. Thank you.